Okay, you guys, are you ready? I'm gonna share a vulnerable and perhaps harsh moment. I'm gonna tell you about how I got fired due to my autism and ADHD, and that it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So, many of you know me that I've worked at a place for 14 years, and I learned so much in that place. And I worked in a lot of different departments, and I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about other people and working with other people. I also learned that's where I learned a tremendous amount about my son and his journey with ADHD and autism and things like that, and joining communities of autism support and camaraderie and that kind of a thing. That's the same place that I learned that I had autism and ADHD, and I became an avid advocate, for our clients as well as other employees. And an avid speaker in the world about neurodiversity, because I just came to the realization that the world just isn't built for those of us who are neurodiverse. And if you're not neurodiverse, or if you don't know a whole lot about your neurodiversity, or perhaps others' neurodiversities, you don't know anything about what it's like. So let me get back to the point. Here's what happened, okay? So the biggest thing about workplaces is that the vast majority of them, so many of them, don't know hardly anything about not only hiring, but taking care of, retaining, and just being a good place for people with autism, with ADHD, dyslexia, PTSD, anxiety, and so many others that are categorized as neurodiversities. And that being said, I do also want to take a moment to have a huge acknowledgement and hurrah for the agencies and businesses that are doing amazing things and are constantly learning. It's not about being an expert, and it's not about being perfect. It's about continuing to get better and wanting to get better. So the place that I worked at was, and still is, definitely way behind on understanding or taking care of neurodiverse employees in any way, shape, or form. A big issue was, and still is, communication. Plus, since they don't understand or even, attempt to understand the difficulties of living with an invisible disability, such as autism, ADHD, anxiety, or the like, they don't have any kind of systems set up to protect or empower or anything employees that are neurodiverse. So one of my big challenges working anywhere has always been my propensity to be a workaholic. I am. That's a part of who I am, and as it turns out, it's a part of my neurodiversities. I constantly second guess myself, and I assume that anyone else in the room or anyone else at the table knows more or is more correct than me. I am not a naturally confident person in a room, and a lot of that has to do with at the root of who I am, I'm constantly checking around for wait, I know I'm different, so wait, is that right? Like, other people think differently, right? So it's that kind of a thing of constantly doing a litmus test for those around me. And I have a huge loyalty kick probably really related to my extreme hatred of change. But if you're a business that is interested in making money so that it stays in business, right? Where I work, as a result of that, very intentionally took advantage of my tendencies. Some people did it not unknowingly, and some people or forces did it very knowingly, and they exploited unabashedly, unapologetically, and then they made me feel bad about thinking or feeling there was anything bad going on or asking for changes. Like, is this how it's supposed to be? Or, that kind of a thing, right? And honestly, they were and still are what I would call an immoral business. And I just really want to stress that I don't say that lightly. Well, I had finally realized, actually, that this was a place of business that I didn't want to be anymore, and that it didn't match my morals. It just did not match my morals or my values, and I felt completely abandoned after I had had a nervous breakdown, due in massive part to my work, and a lot of these things that were taken advantage of and things like that. But, so I'd been trying to find alternate work and things like that, but I have this terrible habit of, I don't believe in being a lame duck. So even if you're moving on to greener pastures and things like that, I believe that if you're still in a position where you need to get stuff done, you need to get stuff done, and you need to serve, and you need to help people when you can. As a result of that, I put so much energy into doing that, I didn't put enough energy into finding alternative work. And even though I continued to have trauma, and I mean trauma, not being a little bit bothered, I mean trauma, even though I continued to have trauma in my workplace, and that has required so much medication and therapy, I can't stress trauma. But I'm so unbelievably thankful that I got fired, because even though I've never been fired before, and my service record where I was working for 14 years was impeccable and glowing and far above and beyond, right? 14 years. I was still so thankful after getting over being completely traumatized by the suddenness of it. But here's why. I couldn't find a way out. I tried everything I could think of, every way to get help, to adapt, to problem solve, to work with HR, everything. I mean, years. And nothing worked. I was miserable. I literally had a nervous breakdown. And since being forced out of what was the most negative and hostile working experience I've ever had, and I've worked in jail. But since then, and all the while, the administration continued to tout how awesome and amazing everything was and how much like family we were, but at the same time their actions were not following their words. So ever since I've been forced out of that horrible, traumatic experience, I've never been happier. And I've never felt more fulfilled and felt more free, like I could actually be who I am, and that it's not only okay, but it's beautiful. And I really wanted to share that with you here in October, the last day in October. But Employment Awareness for People with Disabilities Month, because this is some very real stuff that people with disabilities have to deal with on a regular basis. And that's whether they have visible disabilities or invisible disabilities. So if this resonates with anyone out there, I want you to know you're not alone. It's not you. There is a way out. And if you would like some support, if you would like some ideas, or if you just want a shoulder to cry on, oh my gosh, please let me know, because I don't want anyone to ever suffer a minute longer than they have to, or be in that situation at all. If I can save you from that, I'd really love to. So have a great rest of your evening. As you can tell, I got a little done up so I can go out and do just a little bit of Halloween with my kiddo. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the Autism Conference tomorrow. Bye.